Hey, 7th grade. So for our project this week, we're focusing on value. And value refers to the light and dark parts of an artwork. So for this project, we're really going to focus on shading and creating value. So we're creating this sort of illusion of our hand popping up from a piece of paper. So I'm going to go over how to do this. So let's get started. The supplies that you need for this project is going to be pretty simple. You're going to need a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, you can find a straight edge. Like you can find, I don't know, like a cardboard box, or like I have my sketchbook over here, and if I couldn't find my ruler, I could use a straight edge here. If you have it available, it's okay if you just make this in graphite or black and white. But if you have the option, get a blue and red crayon, or you can do color pencil or even oil pastel. My only concern with oil pastel is it might smudge. And you need a pencil and an eraser. So let's get started. I'm gonna start by, I placed my hand down, I centered it, and then I traced it on the paper. And then I'm gonna take my ruler and I'm going to lightly draw these lines because a lot of these we're going to end up erasing. So I'm creating like my paper right now. So this is going to be, the line will eventually be red. And then I'm going to skip a space down, or I'm using the width of the ruler and I'm going to move it down just slightly. And that's going to be the top of my paper. Okay, so I'm going to slowly draw lines all the way down. Now, I'm not going to measure, I'm just going to eyeball, but what you can do is mark it at every ½ inch. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe I will do that to make sure it's lining up. So I'm going to put my ruler here, and at the ½ inch mark, so I've put the end of my ruler here at this line, and at the ½ inch mark, what should I do? No, ½ inch mark, I'm going to put a mark. And these are going to be the lines across my paper. Okay. So then I'm actually going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to start over here. I'll turn the paper this way. All right, I line it up here, and I'm going to start at the ½ inch and then mark every ½ inch. So ½ inch, mark at the inch, I'm going to mark at 1.5 inches, I'm going to mark at the 2 inches, if that makes sense. So these lines are ½ inch spaced out. Okay. So I did it on both sides, so it's really easy for me to draw a straight line. Now, when I'm drawing it across, I'm actually going to skip over where I've traced my hand. So I'm going to come all the way down drawing my lines. And I'm going to line them up to each side. So there's my hand, so I'm going to skip over, and so that's my first line. And actually, I made a mistake because this line needs to start over here. So you're going to come all the way down. Okay, so I have traced all the lines down, so it's starting to look like a piece of notebook paper, and I'm actually going to draw a little circle, like there's a hole punch here. And let's draw one kind of in the center, and then one below here. So I have my 3 hole punches. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to kind of follow the curve of my arm. We're trying to make it look more rounded so that it appears to be popping out. So I'm going to start, so this red line would come down, and I'm just going to curve it down like that. Actually, since that's hitting up there, I'm going to curve it like this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the 2 sides by curving the line. So you can see that I'm starting here and attaching it over here, and I'm adding a curve, and I'm kind of just going with the shape of the arm. So I'm going to continue this all the way up. Okay, so I have traced all the lines over my hand. You can see as I get to like this section of the hand, the lines kind of flatten out a little, but then as I get over towards the fingers, that the lines are more arched because these are going to be more like rounded. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to shade on the hand, and we're going to shade, let's say the light source is coming in from over here. This is going to cast a shadow on this side, this side, this side, and this side. And of course over here too. So I'm going to create a little shadow, and when I do that, I'm going to shade dark and then fade out with my pencil. And I'm going to come all the way down. And then I actually like to use my finger just to smudge it a little, just to add a little bit of smoothness. Then I'm going to add some value over here to my hands. And we're just going to shade this first. If we were to do the tracing of the lines first, since I'm using crayon, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get the shading smooth because I'd be hitting the crayon shading. So that's why we're going to shade first and then trace our lines. Okay, so I finished with my shading. You can see the darkest part of my drawing is on the right side of the hand. That's where the shadow is being cast. But I also added a light shading on the opposite side of the fingers, not the paper, to create a little bit more depth so it looks like the hand's popping out. Now, our next step is to actually go back and trace all our lines with the blue and red. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to retrace this line. Red. Now, I gotta remember as I get down here, this curves a little to show that it's going onto the hand. And then I'm gonna go with my blue and I'm gonna retrace all of these lines. So I'm gonna trace with the ruler. Take your time. You don't wanna mess up on this part. Okay, so when I get to this part, I'm actually gonna curve with the blue line and then continue on. Okay, so I'm going to continue tracing all the way down. Okay, so after you finish tracing your lines, I'm actually going to take my pencil and just trace my hand one more time, just so it gives it a little bit of a pop, because as I've been tracing, I've kind of smudged over my hand drawing. So this is just going to make it pop just a little bit more. Now remember, if you don't have blue or red available, that's okay. Just do this all in pencil and it's still going to look pretty cool. Okay, so just a little bit for last details. I'm gonna go over and shade this lightly. My little hole punches. And then I thought a fun touch at the end is I'm just gonna put the date. and then put my name over here. Okay, so there's our project. I'm looking forward to see what you guys create. Bye.